So here we are with our blunt thoughts for the week. Having had all the conversations we've had, today we're serving you past, present, and future. Taking stock of our motherland, Ghana. Past, present, and future. Taking stock of our motherland, Ghana. Forget your past, no matter how bad, and you'll have no future. This holds true whether collectively or individually. As a general rule, you set yourself up for failure if you forget from where you came. The past, the present, the future are like one pattern on a piece of embroidery, yet with different colors. Together, though, they form a single unique piece in our lives' journeys. This is why it is crucial to dig into the past so we can shape up for the future. I like telling stories, and so I'll tell you another story this morning. In From Third World to First, the Singapore story, Lee Kuan Yew writes, and I quote, "My third and biggest headache was the economy, how to make a living for our people. Indonesia was confronting us and trade was at a standstill. The Malaysians wanted to bypass Singapore and deal directly with all their trading partners, importers and exporters, and only through their own ports. How was an independent Singapore to survive when it was no longer the center of the wider area that the British once governed together as a unit? We needed to find some answers, and soon, for unemployment was alarming at 14% and rising. Furthermore, we had to make a living different from that under British rule. I used to see our godowns, warehouses filled with rubber sheets, pepper, copra, and rattan, and workers laboriously cleaning and grading them for export. There would be no more imports of such raw materials from Malaysia and Indonesia for processing and grading. We had to create a new kind of economy, try new methods and schemes never tried before anywhere else in the world, because there was no other country like Singapore. After pondering these problems and the limited options available, I concluded an island city-state in Southeast Asia could not be ordinary if it was to survive. We had to make extraordinary effort to become a tightly knit, rugged, and adaptable people who could do things better and cheaper than our neighbors, because they wanted to bypass us and render obsolete our role as the entrepot and middleman for the trade of the region. We had to be different. Here precisely, dear friends and fellow Ghanaians, is where we have failed to set ourselves apart, because we are nothing more than ordinary people with ordinary leaders. We have seen nothing but ordinary results. But we come from extraordinary stock. Our name is Ghana. We are the land of the great warrior king. Or are we? Our leaders are ordinary because they, by and large, lack foresight and cling to greed and self-aggrandizement like leeches. We are ordinary because we do not do what people should when their leaders fail them. I use Singapore as a yardstick for us today because of their realities, only because their realities some 4, 5, 6 decades ago were just like ours today. The difference you see now between our countries, which is like that between night and day, is because they got the right leadership, and we did too at the start, but messed everything up after Nkrumah. Very few after him have done anything truly worthy. Vile division has overshadowed us, brothers and sisters, since the days before independence, and even more tellingly, now. Yes, we walk through the valley of the shadow of death as a people, but unlike in Psalm 23, we have a lot of evil to fear because of poor leadership and crude divisions. We, Ghana 4, have been blessed with every mineral resource, natural gifts, and a vast population considering our land size. Yet, our leaders still are not able to make a good living for the people, which is why I label them misleaders. They are leaders only in talk and in name. When push comes to shove, they are no better than the unlettered man roaming the streets. Soldiers, you see, follow the commands of their generals and other superiors because they trust in their proven judgment. And when that glaringly fails, mutiny sometimes is what follows. I use mutiny here, that word, not in a violent term, but in the sense of rejecting poor judgment and misleadership. Of what use, I ask, are leaders who cannot lead? I'm not calling for violence or anything untoward, no. Rather, I issue a clarion call for radical followership that brings about the radical and visionary leadership like we saw under Nkrumah. I'm merely saying if we do not become firmer with our leaders, like blind guides to the blind, they will lead us nowhere but into an even bigger ditch. The hard truth is that members of our three arms of government have become habitual takers. They take, and take. But just how much do they contribute or give back to the state? They greedily eat the national cake, serve us crumbs, and tell us we are even lucky to have anything at all. They get all the perks that their jobs offer them, and much more. Yet what do they give us? Even worse, when you give back, you are deemed a fool and vilified, like we did to Togbe Afede. His crime? Admitting his mouth was full and couldn't take any more, and giving back to those who have greater need than he. Look at what is right behind me. This dates back to Wednesday, March 6, 1957. Interestingly, this newspaper, the Daily Graphic, then cost only 2 pence. Many of us don't have a concept of that. But the birth of Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever. You know, I think maybe, just maybe, Nkrumah may have got it wrong here when he said our beloved country is free forever. You know why? I'll tell you shortly. But guess what? When you come to our second slide for you today, you take another look at 2 different days. Saturday, June 15, 1957, Monday, June 17, 1957. What were we contemplating here? Disunity and selfishness. Will Ghana coins bear PM's head? Opposition asks in assembly. Of what use was that? Then, a few days after, put Queen's head on our coins. Opposition demands. They were asking that even after breaking the shackles of independence, we should have the Queen's head on our currency rather than one of our own. In our local parlance, peseminkuminya, which translates to wit, wanting to have it all alone, is our bane. This is why we must cut incisively into this issue with a scalpel or laser beams of divisiveness. We must get rid of them. Even before our nation's independence, it was with us. At independence, it reared its ugly head. After independence, it still remained among some selfish people who could see nothing beyond their own interests. That same self-interest has led us to this depressing point in our history, where we still are beholden to the West and the East, tied to the financial apron strings of institutions and foreign powers. And though blessed with all the resources that we have, we are poor and hungry. Today, the Ghana Statistical Service reveals some 15.1 million of us, that is 49.1% of our population, is experiencing food insecurity. Just imagine that. And it all boils down to our petty divisions, ill will towards one another, and crass selfishness across the board, especially in leadership. And we see exactly that, crystal clear, in the latest AG report. I'll bring you some details of that. When you look at the report and what it evinces, and you look at financial irregularities alone, look at how we've been bleeding. 2017, in billions of Ghana cedis, we lost 12 billion. 2018 was a good year, 3 billion, though it was still a high figure. But it's been rising ever since, from 5.4 billion in 2019 to a gargantuan sum of 2021's 17.4 billion. When you look at the latest report, in terms of financial irregularities, the 4.6 billion Ghana cedis increased for the year 2021 is actually mainly to be blamed on, note, credit power sales of 6 billion Ghana cedis involving the VRA and NETCO. Our institutions as well are bleeding us. But then we get to the Judicial Service, and a very interesting scenario. 19 official vehicles auctioned by the Judicial Service for 1,023,507 cedis and 96 pesos. But the most important point, without approval from the Minister of Finance, for which reason this should have never happened. And even more suspect is coming from the Judicial Service. But look at the kinds of vehicles, and here your heart will simply break. Look at the breakdown. 6 Toyota Land Cruisers sold for a paltry sum. Pittance, 448,000 plus Ghana cedis. Guess what? Just one of these vehicles, even after 4 years, likely would cost just about the same sum of money. 6 of them. The next step, Toyota Avalon saloon cars. Now, if you know what the value of this vehicle is, you would be shaking your head that 3 of them were sold for or auctioned for 117,000 plus Ghana cedis. Toyota Corollas, and we are talking about newer models, not old models. 4 of them for 37,000. Will you even get one of them for that sum of money? Toyota Fortuner station wagon, one went for 92,914. This is almost in the category of a Toyota Land Cruiser. You do the math. Then we have a Fortuner SUV, 4 of them going for 314,000 cedis, and a Toyota Avensis going for 13,100 cedis. Buapayo, that is what we're doing in this country. Then we move on to the next segment, because guess what? SNIT is also involved. Government is yet to actually pay SNIT what is owed some public sector workers. And guess how much it owes? 4.33 billion Ghana cedis. You know why this is interesting? So 10 out of 45 unlisted equity companies SNIT invested in have not been paying dividends to the trust for the past 10 years. But you see, if it is criminal for private entities to do this, it is also criminal for government to do this to public sector workers. But it's being done. COCOBOT. Government owes COCOBOT 2.25 billion Ghana cedis as of September 30th, 2022. But I want us to take a quick look at these and then wrap the conversation. When you look at our academic activities as well, there's a reason I'm bringing this in. We notice that quite a number of the programs that are being offered by the KNUST, the University of Ghana and others are not accredited. 374 programs in terms of the accreditation have expired, and the breakdown is there. Diploma 14, undergraduate 80, postgraduate 23, PhD 67, without the requisite accreditation. But here's where it gets interesting. When you look at the fact that only 61 out of the 360 programs offered are actually accredited. 4 officers, however, who were granted sabbatical leaves by the university, that is the KNUST, took up various appointments in governmental institutions where they were enjoying full, that is basic salary and other allowances, monthly salaries in addition to basic and market premiums being paid by the KNUST. This resulted in double payments of basic salaries and market premiums by government in the sum of 488,868.69 Ghana cedis. So you see where the problem lies. While all of this goes on, the government of Ghana is not even able to settle the pension payments of public sector workers and currently owes SNIT what I just mentioned. Just imagine that. 4.33 billion Ghana cedis owed to SNIT. This is criminal, like I mentioned. But why is all of this going on? In the midst of all of it, it is leadership. Look at the cost, and I'll just wrap with these comments. Look at the cost of products that we have on the market today. Cement, as of yesterday, cost 73 Ghana cedis. 73 per one bag. Just about what? 2016, thereabouts, it was going for 28 Ghana cedis. 28. Meaning that some years ago, just about 5 years ago, you could have bought 3 bags of cement, close to 3 bags, for the same price we are buying it today. Iron rods that a few months ago, a ton of which cost 6,000 cedis, is now costing 8,000 cedis. You can do that for a trip of sand, 20 cubic meters. In fact, now it is 17.5 cubic meters. What was going for 800 cedis is now going for 1,500 Ghana cedis. Did we go or did we come? That is the question we should be asking ourselves as a people. But I want to make this point forcefully as I end. If we don't bring about the changes that we know we should bring about, we'll be digging a ditch and putting ourselves into it ourselves. Because guess what? If we don't hold our leaders accountable, they will lead us anywhere. It's said that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Let us hold our leaders accountable. Let us do the right things, because whether it's the misapplication of funds that leads to hemorrhages of our economic life, whether it has to do with the irregularities that I just brought up, we are going to be the ones in the end who suffer. I make these points because I greatly care about our country and how we end up. If we don't do that now, posterity will judge us, and they will judge us viciously because we failed today to do what we should have done. Let us, like the Singaporeans, learn to be different. Let us strive as a proud nation to do more so that we can enjoy that country that we all dream of now and in the future. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and these are my thoughts, raw and edited undiluted. God bless God.